German football in many ways was an embarrassment, I think, around the turn of the century. I don't think it was a conscious decision at the time to say we're just going to be defending now and approach every game as if we're the underdog, but that's what happened. And they'd lost their natural advantage of fitness, quality, professionalism that they used to have over the minnows, because all the minnows by that time had caught up. It was no longer enough to be German and to wear the white shirt and to have an automatic entitlement to win. And you needed these big shocks to the system in 2000 and 2004, disastrous Euro campaigns, before people realized, something fundamentally is wrong here. We need to sort this out. Let's not talk about things that people in the pub talk about lack of leaders, players not wanting it enough, not being passionate enough, not being patriotic enough. It comes down to numbers and quality. Germany just wasn't producing any.
The modernising that you talk about that was so crucial. Explain a little bit about what the most important aspects of that modernisation were.
As early as 1996-97, Bertie Vogts, who's the manager at the time, and he's not a great manager, but he sees things, realises that we're not producing any good players anymore. And he talks to the FA, and the FA say, okay, put forward some ideas. And they come up with this idea of having these regional centres where if you don't happen to be signed up by Bayern Munich as a 16-year-old, and your nearest other Bundesliga club is 300 kilometers away, where do you go? So they say, okay, we'll organize these locations, Stützpunkte they call it, where you can turn up and get at least some education, footballing education, from a proper qualified coach. In 2000, before the Euros, slightly before the Euros, the clubs actually say, yes, okay, we understand. We all need to have academies, we all need to have dedicated coaching.
For a German person, is it all about the final rather than what happened in the semi-final?
I think it is all about the final, because the final was actually a very tense and closely fought affair, and Germany could have easily lost, and then we probably wouldn't be sitting, and the debate would be about a golden generation with a weak backbone or lack of character and all these things that come out when teams don't win. I think first of all you can say that this team is almost a middle-class team. Education, again through reform of the youth system, is now no longer seen as barring you from achieving as a footballer. I think they understand context, they understand things that go beyond thinking about the next 90 minutes or the 90 minutes you just played. They needed not just concentrate on the football side of things, but also try to be a team. The way they clearly weren't 2 years earlier, where there were all sorts of problems. That kind of very special atmosphere happened, and it was also, to a certain extent, engineered by making a lot of smart decisions when it comes to putting people in certain houses with others, making sure there's a mix, no cliques. The way that the camp was designed, everybody was very close to each other. And I think also what we talked earlier about, this idea, certainly from one or two players, that this is it, we have to now do everything we can. Even if that means playing cards every single night with a guy that you really can't stand. But for the team's good, for the greater good, you'll do it. And they did it.
Is there a bunch of 13, 14, 15-year-old kids now coming through the German system that perhaps in 10 years' time you might be sitting here talking about what they've achieved?
Yeah, I think so. I think the expectation is that they will maintain that kind of output. Also, slightly helped in a weird way by the Bundesliga not being the Premier League and having all this money and being able to buy superstars. You're forced to a certain extent to rely on your own players, and for the national team that's a very good thing, undoubtedly. Very few people kind of were willing to pat themselves on the back and say, we've done it now. Everyone is saying, yeah, it's all right. Now the German FA are investing a lot of money into building their own sort of space where there'll be continuous meetings, seminars with coaches and tacticians, and they have their own training ground, and they have their own library, their own video analysis as a fixed space where all data from all games will be collected centrally. And they're thinking about the next level already.
If someone had said to me during the height of my Liverpool supporting days that you're going to pack all this in and start following a team 167 places below, I would have laughed at them.